Critical Art Ensemble are a group of artists from the US who have been involved in tactical media. They've been doing this work around kind of anti-monuments, and so for us this was a chance to work with them.
If ever there is an authoritarian form of cultural objects, the monument just takes the cake. What the monument really is a way to enforce ideology, right? And it does it in the most evil way of saying, like, here we're going to take material that will never go away, and because this message is so universal, we all have a consensus about it, and we all feel the same way, and we're going to put this up, and it's going to stand in testimony forever. Well, anything that's universal and that claims to be forever, I've got a bunch of suspicions about right off the bat. It is the most anti-diversity, anti-inclusion cultural artifact I can think of.
So the local culture on Leigh Marsh is that when someone dies or when a boat finishes its life, then it would normally be taken to the marsh and allowed to sink. And you'd sink the boat at strategic places to reconstruct the marsh to get the flows of water coming through. But you'd also remember each wreck, even though the wrecks might just be the keel in the mud now. People remember its name and they remember who sailed on it. So the project situates itself within a cultural activity that's always been present, and that's really important. There was no imposition, so the kind of anti-monument that Steve Kurtz was keen on was arising out of local culture anyway.
So how could you make a monument people could actually live with? How do you make a monument that is inclusive and that's about diversity and that's not there to take over a space forever and tell all others to get out? How do you make a monument that is not going to smooth over the conflicts that are often memorialized? And, this is one of the ways, is to be able to take a representative symbol like that boat and then add into it the many different lifestyles and ways of life and stories and creatures and everything else that's there that do not necessarily all see things the same way, right? That we're embedding the conflict of the discussion, the very thing that I was telling you about when I talked to one person and the next person and the next person. They all have completely different stories about what happened with anything, the fishing, whatever. They're just different stories. We're embracing all that.
The idea for Graveyard for Lost Species is to record all those things that capitalism has destroyed, has removed. And when you look at species you've got all the animals and plants, you've got the kind of death of multiple species, but within that there's all the death of the cultures that surround those species, the ways of working in the world, the ways of being intimate with different kinds of ecologies that have been wiped out as well. And they're all part of the same kind of necropolitics, the politics of death, which see so prominent within advanced capitalism.
The problem of authoritarianism is pretty global these days, and the problems of neoliberalism are pretty global. It's this critical sensibility that no matter where you go, no matter how unique the places are, everyone shares this scourge wherever you are and has something to say about it. And ultimately, that's what all our projects are about. They're anti-authoritarian expressions.